or one of those shows where you pull out a map. Where's Egypt on this one?
Right. Yeah. No one knows geography. Yeah.
No, but this is a little different. So let's see. What do you study?
Mechanical engineering.
Oh, okay, cool. So I assume that you have a pretty good math background then.
Yeah, I think in high school I thought I was bad at math, and then I just full sent it into engineering. I just kind of follow impulses, and then I ended up liking engineering, or liking math eventually.
Yeah.
Calculus is a lot more fun than algebra.
Okay. So do you think the patterns of math, like sort of the patterns of how quantities can be, what would you say? You use quantifiers to demonstrate the relationship between quantities, something like that.
Yeah, you can do like operations on quantities to like model something, or like to create a mathematical representation of a physical phenomenon.
And that's really how where the rubber hits the road in engineering, in particular. So do you think everything can be modeled that way?
No. I mean, there are obviously things that we don't have models for. Fluid dynamics is a good example. There's a lot of things about fluids that are too complicated to model, so then you have to do them you have to find out these things experimentally, like thermodynamic tables are an example. It's like certain properties of fluids, like our.
I did start the mic. I'm sorry.
You can.
Yeah. So you've probably heard of something like chaos theory, where it's like if you try to represent or simulate a physical system, within like one or two iterations, it becomes completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Something like that. Does that relate to what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess. With fluids, that would make sense, just in the way that it's like.
Yeah.
There's so many things happening at once. There's so many like particles hitting each other that it's just like it's impossible. A turbulent flow is impossible to predict because of that. Like it's pretty similar. So like a lot of times you'll just like assume it's a continuum, like assume it's like a one solid piece that's going to behave in a predictable way.
Do you think that reality or that sort of phenomenon relates to Gödel's theorems?
What?
Gödel's theorems?
I don't know about Gödel's theorems.
Okay, like the incompleteness theorems?
I'm not familiar. You'll have to explain it to me.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll try to just explain what it is, and maybe you tell me if you think that relates at a conceptual level. Like, Gödel's theorems are to say that systems of mathematics can neither be complete or
or completely vague.
Sorry.
Maybe.
Sorry.
You're good.
Complete, or they can't be complete and what is the other one? Oh my gosh.
Meaningless.
No. It's complete and coherent, something like that. Complete and
all-encompassing.
Yeah, but completeness is sort of all-encompassingness. I think that's what that sort of refers to. And they can neither be complete or sound. Sound. So mathematical systems can never be fully complete and sound, and can never be fully sound and complete. That sort of idea.
Yeah.
And so there's various implications you maybe could draw from that. There's also some resistance to trying to draw implications in certain. Sometimes people don't like drawing implications out of stuff like that, but the idea could be that math can't describe like these super complex systems that have a sort of infinite nature about them, because math can't be fully complete. It can't swallow infinity.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You have to make simplifying assumptions. Yeah, like you said. Yeah.
Okay. I apologize for forgetting my words. I'm kind of baking out here in the sun.
No, it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too bad. But so if we can't model everything, what I don't know. Do we just sort of like how do we create a full picture of the world if we can't model everything?
I think we don't. We take what we see and we make it simpler, and then we can model that.
Yeah.
I mean that's everything in math and science is that nothing is exact. Like every number we know, like every constant, is not exact. And the ones that we think are exact, like pi, just go on forever. So really, I mean, they're not exact. You round to a certain decimal place, and then right therein lies your error.
Yeah, because like the curvature of the circle itself has something infinite about it too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, do you think the Gödel's theorem that I roughly articulated has something to do with the idea of not being able to model the fluid systems, or?
I think so, 100%. And I think
Okay.
in switching to a completely different realm of science, or like in psychology, there's like a similar thing that people will say, where I don't know what it's called or whatever, but just where like if theories are too broad, and if a theory like claims to fully completely understand all of human, like the way humans interact with each other and interact with the world, then it has to be false, because if like a theory has to be disprovable, right? If every
It has to be falsifiable. Yeah.
yeah. So like if you can come up with any question you have, if the theory explains it somehow, it's like it can't be
But
valid.
I guess falsifiable by what means? Like falsifiable by means of empirical demonstration, or should it be falsifiable by maybe a logical syllogism, or maybe both of those things could be okay?
Well, I think maybe just like a lot, like you have to logically be able to create a hypothesis that then could be proven. I think the being able to prove it, via testing or whatever, kind of comes after that. I think just like in theory there has to be like some counterpoint that can be drawn.
So if a theory is like too broad as to just almost biting off more than it can chew, or more than it can be demonstrated to chew, if you will, or demonstrated in some way or another, then it's necessarily false. It almost relates to the idea that I've heard a professor tell me that because I did go through a psychology program. I have a degree in psychology. So I remember my cognitive neuroscience professor telling me something like if there's a model of the mind, then it's an imperfect model. Like it works to some degree, but the model itself can never be expected to fully encapsulate the reality.
Yeah, because models are just tools in the same way math is a tool. It's like we're just using it to like understand or like quantify something. But it isn't what it is. And we've just made up math. Like math isn't some empirical like truth about the universe. It's something that we made up to explain what's happening.
Yeah, and then I almost want to open this up into a sort of related discussion that I hope isn't too idiosyncratic to myself, but it's this idea of the right and left hemisphere of the brain, and how it seems as though they are structured, in a very broad sense, the left hemisphere being structured to create models and to sort of blindly trust those models to represent the reality of the world, and then the right hemisphere of the brain is more designated to have an actual relationship to reality in this sort of fluid, unconstrained sense.
Yeah, it's like experiencing reality and then trying to understand it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you find when the right hemisphere has issues, when there's some kind of functional issue, then if people just have the modeling without the relationship to reality, it's like when you get the most dramatic forms of insanity.
Yeah.
Right, something like that.
Right, because you're disconnected from reality.
Yeah.
And like some other.
So that might be a kind of a simple thing, but if that's true, like does that have any like implications in the way you see sort of big questions of life, like that dichotomy? Is that something that you've thought through at all?
I think, maybe this is related. Just like with my own experience with life, I think that just maybe by the nature of like what I'm studying and how I've told myself that my brain works or whatever, I really you know, I don't want to say overthink, but I really like analyze everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And you know, and try to fit everything that I'm doing into some like hierarchy of like priority.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then occasionally I'll just like, you know, I'll experience something and I'm not thinking about what it means for my life or like how it fits into everything else, and I'm just like experiencing it in the moment. And you know, and that you know, a lot of times is a more profound experience. You know.
Yeah, like
I
where
think-
you're
I think
sort
maybe-
of embodied in that flow of reality or something like that.
Yeah, and I think like to promote that in my life, I've like I've stopped, like I don't take pictures of anything anymore, you know, because I try to like experience it.
So it almost pins it down into one like image.
Right. And then if you have a picture of it, I feel like this is just subconsciously, like your brain is like, okay, I don't have to remember that now because
Yeah.
there's a picture of it and I remember stuff less.
Or the memory you have of it is just replaced by the picture you have.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, because maybe your brain's just being efficient. It's like I'm not gonna waste space with this. It exists on your phone. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but that contradicts, you know, like those kind of changes contradict how I think most of the time, which is just, you know, more. I
Yeah.
forget what you said. Left or right is more modeling.
Left.
But yeah, where most of the time I'm thinking more and just like creating this
Yeah.
model in my life of like
Yeah.
how pieces interact and
Do you-
what I should be doing.
Do you think that like you should try to be thinking more fluidly at times?
Yeah.
Or-
I think me in particular. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but I think everyone needs a balance. I think there's no like.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, why would you use half your brain?
Yeah, like why would you need it if you don't need to use it sometimes?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think
of
it's just
course.
that balance. And I think engineers in particular, or just like, you know, people who
Yeah.
really like have this like obsession with like
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot of people in college. It just
Mhm.
it can really like start to make you go a little bit crazy because it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like everything in your life just becomes like a factor in whether or not you're achieving success or not.
Yeah.
And it just like it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah, like in that you can just blindly follow that sort of formula. Like, okay, if I just do these things, then I'll achieve these things, and you lose maybe the bigger picture.
Yeah, you're just not experiencing life
Yeah.
really. You're just like checking boxes.
And so with these things on the table, what do you make of the idea of like we are inextricably human? We see the world and we interact with the world through that lens of this sort of fluid reality mixed with this desire to model things and follow those models. If that's the way we inevitably have to live, then I don't know, what does that say about these sort of bigger, more lofty questions about like what the purpose of life is, or what reality truly looks like, and then does that have any implications to the sort of idea that everything can be understood through modern science and be quantified atomically and everything like that? It doesn't, because I almost have the intimation that this atomic quantifying, or this it's trying to encapsulate everything into fragmented pieces that you can sort of analyze, is a left brain impulse. You know what I mean? And so do you think that has any broader implications about like I said, these sort of questions of reality? Because we have to, because we live in that perspective, and that's how the world is revealed to us to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope I didn't like just ramble and lose you there.
No. I don't know. I think I have an unsatisfying response in that, like, it's just like it like it's just all a balance. There's like no, like, I think like, okay, like to take, like, you know, what is the purpose of life, right? Like, or like, what is the meaning? You know, I think a lot of people would agree that, you know, the goal is for you to find meaning for yourself.
Okay.
But and then I think that it takes both of those sides of your brain to do that. I think that you know, like, there is one extreme, like if you're a Buddhist monk and you're only living life to live life, like that's it. You know, you're really like practicing just like letting go and not caring about things. You know.
Well, they do statistically, those kind of people, those monks, and they do statistically have higher levels of happiness.
Yeah, so maybe that is the answer, because I doubt monks are trying to analyze how our world works, or they're trying to create a model. I mean, maybe that kind of, I mean, it's not.
But they
Buddhism
still
is not
live in a
religion.
religious kind of model,
Right. No, that's
Yeah.
what I was about to say. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and and also
Yeah.
not to bring it to religion, but I feel like with it, like living within like not a model of the universe, but like a model of like society. Like if you are like fully like bought in and enveloped into a religion, I feel like that can bring you a lot of happiness.
Yeah.
Because it this is a dangerous thing to say, but I feel like it really it kind of simplifies
Okay.
the world, and it simplifies like what your goals should be and how you should live your life is all very set out in front of you. You don't have to find it for yourself necessarily.
Like it puts the mystery where the mystery should go sometimes.
Yes, yeah, right. There's just because a lot of religions have that, right? There's just
Yeah.
like some part of it that is mystery, and you're okay with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Which, I mean, because you're talking about like whether or not things could be completely modeled mathematically, which I think
Yeah.
they can't be, because math is something that we made up. And
So
humans.
can it be completely modeled religiously, like in a form of sort of narrative and perspectival sort of thought?
No, because it's still a model, and we still made up religion. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I mean, okay, well, you might disagree with me, but like it is largely a human construct.
No, the reason I asked the question wasn't to like debate you on it. It's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
So you think the modeling aspect of religion and how it sort of tries to model the world in maybe religious terms that are more phenomenological, maybe more in terms of what you should and shouldn't do, as opposed to what the world is in a sort of objective sense.
Yeah.
That is the same instinct. And so what I guess my only thing I think I could use to sort of complexify that is the idea that seeing the world in terms of narrative does seem to have a more fluid aspect to it, rather than seeing the world as these fragmented objects.
Right. It's less specific.
Yeah. It does seem to have a more sort of what would you say?
Applicability.
A more mystery nested in mystery. You know what I mean? Like the story in itself has this mystery of interpretation around it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So and obviously like
Yeah.
religion is very popular, right? And so maybe
Yeah.
that's where that could, because it is able to be fluid, and it is that interpretation means that a lot of different people with different values can still utilize the same model, whereas math is
And
not like
I guess
that.
there needs some tangibility where it should just multiply and everyone actually believes different things.
Right.
And it doesn't unify anybody anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on with what you were saying.
I don't know. Yeah. I was just thinking about how this is a weird comparison, comparing math to religion.
It is interesting though. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting because they both have a sort of instinct that they are modeling something in some sense,
Yeah.
right? And it's just a matter of if a sort of narrative modeling is like how do you relate that to a more quantitative modeling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly more approachable. A narrative modeling. It's definitely easier to understand because there's all this like not knowledge that you need before you can really understand what Einstein's field equations mean. Or
Like maybe it resonates to more of like the humanness that you have, and
well, so by that sense, maybe it is instead a right brain thing, because it's not like, I mean, it's a model, but it's like more a model of like living versus I don't know.
Yeah. But then again, like, do you think it should be analyzed in a scientific way?
Life or religion?
Religion.
Can it be analyzed in a scientific way?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a non-question. That's a loaded question,
Yeah, true.
But okay, fair enough.
Is this a podcast?
Kind of,
Okay.
sort of, yeah. Yeah.
It's a club though.
It's a club.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do in the club?
I've been really trying to figure that out. Obviously, you do this. You
just
dig
discuss.
into these things, and I try to be like, obviously, not taking sides. I'm really just trying to help people articulate themselves.
Yeah.
Try to make it enjoyable for them.
Yeah.
To some degree.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think
yeah.
discussions like this are a thing people should have more of, for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
And so, with all the things we talked about, do you have any sort of closing sentiments or anything that how you sort of make sense of these things?
I don't know. I think we know nothing.
Yeah. The sort of Socrates, like,
Yeah.
the wiser you are, the more you know how little you know, something like that.
I mean, all of this has just been us trying to make sense of things and to quantify the quantifying of things or the non-quantifying of things.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just all it's all just trying to understand. I mean, this was all a right brain thing, I guess,
Hopefully.
because we're all trying to we're just trying to
Yeah.
understand.
Hopefully, we're paying attention to reality and not our own sort of idiosyncratic models that we're blindly following. And
Yeah, but but again, there's a place for that. I think it's all a balance.
if it in your mind, there's a place for that if it reveals meaning.
Yeah. Yes. True. I guess we never really got to that, but I think that is definitely what I think.
But then there's the question of if it's even capable of revealing meaning if it's not actually connected to reality. You know what I mean? Like, do you think something is capable of being meaningful if if it's not connected to reality?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think religion is an example of that in some sense.
Okay.
Where okay, I'm not saying that it's not reality, but I'm just saying
It's
like
okay to say
like
that.
this
I think it.
this well, but I'm not gonna say it.
yeah.
Like these like beings that aren't you're not experiencing
Yeah.
that you're not experiencing the love of God or whatever. So it's like this is not something that's not it's not reality being what you're experiencing. So you're getting a satisfaction from this model. In the same way, like if you set all these goals and you have all these I'm going to be sober, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to work out every day. Like I feel like those goals are kind of a form of a model for your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get some satisfaction out of that. In the same way, like if you like this model of religion
Yeah.
sets these moral goals for yourself, and if you follow those, you get some satisfaction out of pleasing this thing that isn't necessarily reality, right? It's like you've made a construct for yourself with goals, with working out, whatever.
Yeah. Then I guess what is reality then? Like because if it can't be accessed mathematically, and religion is sort of a arbitrary, sort of self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah.
then do we have access to reality at all?
I guess maybe I don't know what I was getting. I guess maybe I'm getting at that reality is like just how we physically experience the world, like how we see
It's
and
phenomenological.
feel. Yeah, and I guess that brings up the question of like instead of left and right brain, like the difference between the separation between the body and the mind, right? The body mind problem or whatever. So
Mind-body problem.
yeah.
Body. That's a word. Both those names work. Yeah.
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 So I don't know.
That
Yeah,
whole
that's
idea, yeah. So the realist thing is the subjective experience. But then what about the experience we're having together right now in this conversation? That is it's subjective because we're both experiencing it differently, but we're also there's some kind of communal experience too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. There is you're I guess you are, to me you're real, right? But then
Yeah.
the way that I'm I don't know. It's hard. It's confusing. This is not
This
my
is what it's all
territory.
about, though. This is what it's all about.
I'd be modeling
Fair
mostly.
enough. Well, I know that I know we were doing finishing statements and everything, so I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah. No, this is fun. I like a good conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Fair enough.
What's your name
Right.
again?
Ethan.
Ethan. Thank you for this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I think